Hello everyone. Welcome to this session on youth, peace, and social media. So we're just waiting for the others to join, but as they're joining, so we shall be looking at different actors in this space who have worked with youth and have used social media in their work. And one of the things that this session is anchored upon is the report that was just launched that Helena talked about. And just in case you are looking for that report, I'm going to put it in the link. So I've put in the link where you can find the report that we worked on that was just shared now. To give you an idea of what other areas beyond youth, peace, and social media that were covered. All right, so to start, I have with me, just because I want it to be interactive, I'll ask them to briefly, just in a few sentences, introduce themselves, and then we can start. So I'll start with you, Zigwai.
Thank you, Caleb. And good afternoon from this end. I don't know if it's good morning somewhere else. My name is Zigwai Ayuba. I'm a development expert, and I've been working in Nigeria for quite some time now. Over 10 years working in the development sector and the humanitarian sector too. And I've been working with the Center for Humanitarian Dialogue. I'm a national expert advisor there, and I work primarily on conflict early warning and early response, and also working strongly on the social media. So that's the core of my responsibility in Center for Humanitarian Dialogue. And I've also worked with a lot of young people in the time past. I've also worked on governance, democracy strengthening, and also some health projects that I've worked on. So quite a number of things that I've done before this time. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm also excited to contribute some of the experiences that we've had in the course of our work. So over to you, Caleb. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zigwai. And yeah, you covered quite a lot of the things that you do. So it will be really great just to hear how you bring that experience into working with youth and social media. And I'll pass it over to Alassane. Alassane, you can introduce yourself.
Ok, merci Caleb. Donc, moi, je vais intervenir en français. Je suis Alassane Niambele. Bonjour à tous. Je travaille à l'Institut malien de recherche et action pour la paix. Cela fait 9 ans. Notre domaine d'intervention, c'est la consolidation de la paix. Au Mali, nous ambitionnons d'être une structure de référence dans la consolidation de la paix en Afrique de l'Ouest. Mais avant, je suis socio-économiste de formation. J'ai travaillé 26 ans dans le domaine des ONG depuis 1996 à travers différentes structures. Mais depuis 2013, j'ai embrassé ma passion de pouvoir apporter ma contribution à la pacification du pays. Donc, IMRAP a mené différentes études dans ce sens, en mettant les jeunes et les femmes au centre de nos différentes recherches. Pour ce qui concerne la jeunesse, nous avons beaucoup travaillé sur comment est-ce que les jeunes changent de trajectoire pendant les moments de crise. Là, je fais référence à 2 de nos études, les nouvelles formes de violence pour les jeunes et les nouvelles formes de violence pour les femmes. Une étude que nous avons menée de façon transfrontalière sur le Mali et la Côte d'Ivoire, c'était en 2017. Donc, je suis vraiment heureux de pouvoir partager le peu de connaissances que j'ai et la petite expérience que IMRAP a avec cet auditoire-là. Et je vous remercie en attendant de pouvoir partager ce que nous avons fait jusque-là et comment est-ce que nous comprenons l'utilisation des médias à travers la jeunesse ou comment la jeunesse peut contribuer à la consolidation de la paix à travers l'usage des médias et des réseaux sociaux. Merci, Khaled.
Thank you very much, Alassane. And then for anyone who's joining, there's a link that Bev has just put in the chat, and that will help with the translation. So I also just need to change it, so give me a second so that I change that. 1 second. All right. So so if you can just go into the link and then you'll be able to change to translation. So, and also another point to make, if you've just joined us, there is also the link. I've just sent it. The link is the one that I've sent is where the report can be found. So if we just jump into this topic of youth, peace, and social media. I know both of you have worked in this space, and having engaged with you in the past, I know you've done quite a lot. But what we've seen, for instance, in the past is this concept of youth changing from being viewed as the perpetrators to being viewed as collaborators. And one of the findings that we were able to gather from the report is that specific aspect where, for the longest time, youths have been seen as the perpetrators of violence. But with technology, they're bringing this other opportunity for peace builders to engage with them, where because they have access to these tools, they're engaging in these spaces and they have visibility of these spaces. It makes sense to engage with them and collaborate with them, and not just as beneficiaries, but as creators of programs, implementers of programs. So with that sort of framing of the youth in this new light, or not new light, but this alternative way, I'm curious in your own work, how this has transpired, or in cases where you've been able to collaborate rather than just provide content to the youth who are just looked as beneficiaries. Yeah, and we can start with you, Zigwai. Zigwai, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. It's interesting to note that young people have this energy that we need to really harness, and we channel it for the positive and impact that they can make within their domain. In the course of work, I would say that we have worked interestingly with young people who were hitherto seen as perpetrators of violence. And by the time we introduced conversations about technology, we realized that these are people.
Oh, it seems we've lost Zigwai for a second there. Zigwai, can you hear us?
Yeah, I lost you for a few
we had lost you for a second. Yeah. Now
okay.
you're back.
Sorry. So interestingly, we need to know that these energies can actually be brought together. And what we tried to do with them was to see, are they perpetrators? Are they, if they are perpetrators of violence, who are the instigators? And we realized that there has to be an instigator before you find a perpetrator, and then you find a victim. And in the course of our work, we have also introduced technology, and we realized that they have such remarkable strength in using technology. And what we try to do is to move them from that category where people see them as perpetrators to people who would champion the cause of using technology for the sake of peace. So we have worked with a vast number of young people who have proven that yes, their knowledge of technology can also be brought into the space where they can make significant impact in terms of peace building. And that is what we have been doing with them. And I think in the course of this session, we will talk more into details. But for the purpose of responding to this first question, this is what I would tell you. And I would say clearly that these are things that have shaped conversations even among young people that are working for peace. And then it has also provided them with significant knowledge in terms of knowing that the time they can spend on their devices or using technology and enjoying the usage of technology be channeled so that they can have a more peaceful society, a more peaceful community where they reside in, and also to ask for the changes that they desire to see. Yes, they are significant influencers on technology, and we would give it to them that if their energies are harnessed properly, then you can achieve significantly well with them. Over.
Thank you so much, Zigwai, and yeah, I really appreciate that idea of youth having an impact because of these platforms, and also having the voice platforms to ask for the changes that they desire to see, and we shall dive more into that. But for Alassane, I have one of the things that when we were discussing and when we were doing the report, one of the things that came out was there's this aspect that people talk about social media, claiming that it can offer access to youth in large numbers, so it makes it easier for peace builders to use it to tap into the agency for social change that youth have. So I guess my question to you is, knowing that there is this huge group, there is the youth on social media, what do you think are some of the effective ways that peace builders can use to engage youth in peace building, specifically on social media?
Ok, merci Caleb pour la question. Je pense que nous, au niveau de l'IMRAP, nous considérons quand même le domaine des médias comme étant un domaine vraiment éducatif et culturel qui amène les personnes de différentes origines socio-culturelles à pouvoir se comprendre en dialoguant et à pouvoir se mettre d'accord sur un certain nombre d'aspects par rapport à la compréhension des conflits et à l'apaisement de la tension au sein des communautés. Donc, l'IMRAP considère que ce domaine vraiment est une occasion de pouvoir développer vraiment une résilience au niveau de la jeunesse pour pouvoir réduire l'extrémisme violent. Mais il faudrait également que nous considérions par contre que face à l'exposition de la jeunesse aux médias, cela peut également entraîner des déviances sérieuses. On ne fait pas attention. Donc, ça veut dire tout simplement qu'il faudrait pouvoir utiliser les médias et les réseaux sociaux à bon escient. En quoi faisons? D'abord, en pouvant partager notre vision et notre mandat. Pouvoir également montrer à cette même jeunesse son rôle dans la société, parce que toute société, qu'elle soit africaine, européenne ou en tout cas de n'importe quelle origine, son futur, c'est la jeunesse. La jeunesse constitue le relais pour le futur. Donc, il faudrait leur parler de leur rôle, leurs responsabilités, leur communiquer la mission et le mandat des structures de consolidation de la paix en communiquant vrai. Parce que l'usage des réseaux sociaux de nos jours, que ce soit les médias écrits ou électroniques, généralement, ils sautent sur les occasions pour pouvoir balancer des informations qui ne sont pas payantes. Je mets ça entre guillemets, qui ne sont pas vraiment de nature à pouvoir consolider la paix. Donc, il faut communiquer vrai. Et quand on communique vrai, il faut également pouvoir être réactif et proactif en même temps. Parce que si on ne lit pas ces différentes notions, on risque de faire fausse route. Et là, nous disons quand même que la communauté dans laquelle nous travaillons, nous utilisons les médias, notamment les réseaux sociaux, WhatsApp, et puis l'outil Kobo Collect. D'ailleurs, l'outil Kobo Collect, nous l'utilisons avec l'appui de Build Up. Elena est là, elle peut en témoigner. Nous l'utilisons beaucoup dans le cadre de nos enquêtes en utilisant les jeunes des localités concernées. Compte tenu de la difficulté d'accès de certaines zones, nous mettons les tablettes déjà paramétrées avec l'outil Kobo Collect à la disposition des jeunes pour pouvoir mener nos enquêtes afin de pouvoir nous remonter les informations dont nous avons besoin dans le souci de pouvoir les analyser et ensuite pouvoir diffuser les résultats de nos différentes études. Donc, pour terminer, je dirais que l'IMRAP, d'ailleurs, comme beaucoup d'autres entités, considèrent ce créer des médias sociaux comme étant des outils de formation s'ils sont utilisés à bon escient, mais sans perdre de vue la mauvaise utilisation, parce que ça peut être à la base de beaucoup d'autres situations que nul ne souhaiterait. Merci à vous.
Thank you so much, Alassane, and I really appreciate your reflections there on this aspect of sometimes it's also good to be careful where you're using social media. There are other elements, and some that might be using social media in a wrong way. And if we don't think about those two issues and only look at social media as a positive tool that can be used for peace building, then we'll be leaving room for errors and challenges. And also great to learn that the work that you're doing with Kobo Collect creates that loop where you're engaging the youth to be able to do the research and analyze that data. So I just want to do a quick check. I know some of you are experiencing some technical difficulties with your translation. So very quickly, I just wanted to show you what you're going to do, because I also was having the same challenges. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen so that you see that. So if you can see this page, you're probably going to be getting something similar to this when you click on that link. Now, if you want the translation, you'll click on that language and then you'll increase the volume that you want. So Zigwa, I know you're having challenges with that. So I was able to open that, and when Alessandro was speaking, I increased the volume of the English session, and that worked for me. All right. So now as we continue, a couple of things, and also, yeah, you have to mute also your own tab so that you can hear what the translation is saying. So as we continue with this conversation about youth and social media, a couple of things just jump into this conversation, and one of them is the content that youth share on in online conversations create an opportunity for peace builders to understand their needs, hopes, worries, and perceptions. And I'm just curious because when Zigwa, you did mention something about youth having the platform where they can ask for the changes that they desire to see. So how do you connect what the youth want on social media to those changes actually happening in real time? Because social media, you can argue, is just social media. Social media is not a policy. It's not a law that they can demand, So how do those voices and desires of the youth that are expressed on social media make their way onto real life changes that can be seen and experienced by the youth offline? So yeah, just trying to connect the two. So yeah, Zigwai, we can start with you and you can take on that one. Oh, I think Zigwai just froze.
Sorry,
Oh,
I
there we go.
missed out on 2 seconds.
Oh, Zigua,
Sorry.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Alassane can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, I missed out on like 2 seconds.
Yeah, so I was basically asking, how do we translate the conversations from the social media platform where youth are demanding for change into real life changes so that it's not just conversations, but how do we bridge that divide between offline and online?
Thank you. So the online and the offline is really, really connected, strongly connected, because interestingly, the offline provides what you take to the online. And what you do on the online can also affect what goes offline. So I would use the Nigerian context to give you an example. A lot of things have been happening. You see people create hashtags, and they create those hashtags for a purpose. And sometime last year, we had a hashtag, you know, on police brutality in Nigeria, ending police brutality, and the hashtag was end SARS, And this began, it took a long time, but it started within the span of 3 years. And young people went on Twitter and they kept tweeting the things that they didn't want that was happening. And you see, gradually they built power, within that space. And by building that power within that space, they were now ready to physically go on the streets to protest. So you see where technology meets conventional kind of scenario. You're advocating for a particular kind of change, and you use the technology that is available to you to be able to push for that. And when they began that process, they were able to harness their energies and they were able to reach out to government. And this same approach can actually be deployed when it comes to peace building, when it comes to peacemaking or peace advocacy. You see, you need to identify the energy and you need to find how to channel it into the right direction. You would realize that if they had not used technology, they use technology with little 30 seconds to 3 minutes video clips that showed those things that they were not happy about. And when they did that, they eventually were able to get people to listen. Even before they went to the streets to protest, government had issued statements on that, but it wasn't firm enough, which was the reason why they had to go to the streets. If those statements were firm enough, then they didn't need to go to the streets. So it simply tells you that the interconnectivity between the offline and the online is really strong, and making these things a reality is possible. Now, social media has come to be one of the strongest reality we have to work with. And if we're going to work with and we're going to focus on peace, then who are the experts now to say within the social media space? There are young people that are inquisitive, young people that want to explore technology. There are young people that want to take advantage of new things. They're interested in new things. There are young people that get bored with conventional kind of ways of doing things. They're innovative. So we need to also look at it in the sense that before you're able to achieve so much, now in every work you do, if you do not consider the social media component, then it may be a recipe for someone to really challenge you within the social media space, and you may not be able to put up a good defense. So it is good for us to also look at it that in order to bring the connection between what the young people are doing or what they want and then how they are using the social media can become a reality, because this is now a very large space for anyone now. In the course of our work, we had this man who is in his 80s, and he shared with us that he had course that people wrote about him on Facebook. And when they wrote about him, he needed people who understood the technology, who understood the space. And who were the people who understood the space? He reached out for the young people that were within his domain, and they were the ones who were able to clear off whatever was written about him. So it tells you that there is a strong connection between the online and the offline, that now both offline and offline are so interconnected that you need to weave these two together in order to make significant impact in whatever it is that you want to do. And that the offline is now the space where we actualize things in reality. Then the online is where we build the power. And in building the power, that means you're championing a cause. So whatever cause you're championing for young people, it is good that we have a clause that enables us to know that we need to champion it for peace. Over.
Thank you so much on that. And Alassane, I don't know whether you want to join in response to the first question I had asked, where or what Zigwai has mentioned right now.
Oui, merci. Je pense que dans la foulée, ce que je peux ajouter à l'intervention de Zigwai, c'est que vraiment, en tant qu'acteur de consolidation de la paix, nous devons profiter de l'existence des différentes plateformes qui sont là en notre faveur, en les utilisant dans le bon sens, parce qu'il y a déjà des programmes éducatifs culturels qui existent à travers les actions de l'UNESCO, de l'UNICEF, etc. Nous, en tant qu'acteurs, nous devons tirer les leçons pour pouvoir les utiliser dans ce sens-là, parce que si nous n'utilisons pas les plateformes actuellement ou les médias de nos jours, nous ne pouvons pas atteindre l'objectif recherché, parce que le monde a évolué et il faut faire avec, en adaptant l'usage des nouvelles technologies aux réalités de nos différentes sociétés. Ça aussi, c'est important. Et je pense que nous devons mettre les jeunes au centre de nos activités à travers l'usage de ces réseaux sociaux pour pouvoir atteindre nos objectifs, mais en attirant toutefois leur attention sur les influences négatives que cela pourrait engendrer. Et je pense que cette interpellation ne concerne pas que les acteurs de consolidation de la paix, ça interpelle aussi les parents au niveau des familles, parce que un enfant de 7 à 8 ans maintenant sait manipuler le téléphone. Et le téléphone, il contient assez de possibilités pour pouvoir quand même montrer des images horribles ou des images pas beaucoup appréciées aux enfants. Et je pense que mon intervention porte surtout sur cet aspect-là. Certes, il faut faire recours aux nouvelles technologies en impliquant la jeunesse, en éduquant la jeunesse à son usage, mais dans le bon sens. En tout cas, nous le faisons, mais nous essayons de prendre des précautions en déroulant certaines dispositions ou certains paramétrages, si on peut dire comme ça, pour faire recours à la technologie technique pour pouvoir quand même sécuriser ou mettre la jeunesse, parce que mettre cette jeunesse à l'abri qui souvent, montée par la curiosité des nouvelles connaissances, à pouvoir faire certaines choses sans pour autant mesurer ce que j'ai à ajouter à l'intervention de Zigwai. Merci.
All right, thank you so much, Alassane. And also, just to mention, the English translation is no longer working. It just dropped for some reason for some few people. So maybe Bev, you can just check on that on the back end. So, and we'll just continue. And I have another, just a point in what was shared. When you have the offline and online engagement, like that was mentioned, there is information moving from the offline conversations into social media and vice versa. Now, one of the questions I have, just to understand this a bit better, is for both of you in the work that you've done, have you seen a difference? And I'd like for you to do a comparison between the work that you've done offline and online. What's the difference when you're doing peace building offline and online? And you can talk about it in terms of challenges or opportunities. Beyond saying, what you talked about, like that you're able to reach a large audience. But how do you approach this space? What are some of the sensitivities that you need to put in hand, you as a peace builder? We already seen that there are challenges like, some people will put out negative messaging on social media. But what are some of the considerations you need to have in mind before getting into this space, or even as you're getting into this space, that you don't necessarily put in place when you're working in an offline setting and with youth? So over to you, Zigwai.
Thank you, Caleb. So interestingly, the challenges and the opportunities online and offline, this is quite interesting, because this is something that you have to really, really look at it carefully, because in the online space, people can say anything and they can get away with almost everything. But in the offline space, people are a bit more careful, because they can see you, because they can talk to you, and because you're in the room for them. For HD, that is a traditional mediation organization. It's for many years has built such a significant strength and carved a niche for itself in dialogue and mediation. And so it's like this is the first things that we're doing in order to ensure that we do not ignore the technological side of things. And for us, it simply tells you that the challenges with working online is that people may be putting out what you want to see, right? They may be putting out what you want to see and not doing exactly what they're saying on those spaces. But on offline also,